See, contrary to popular belief, I'm not always late. And I'm not late today, Mr. VP. What up, people? It's your boy Chig from Guna Eagle Eye, coming to you again with a brand new video. This time, it's a bit more of a serious subject because Arsenal have had a game postponed, which is not unusual for us. We've had games postponed before. Heck, we've had a game postponed this year. Um, but this one was a little bit different because it was postponed. We were supposed to be playing today, and it was postponed around about midnight yesterday, UK time. Sorry, I'm trying to suppress a burp here. So if you ever see me doing that, that's what I'm doing. Um, yeah, essentially, I mean, you must be living under, I don't care what part of the world you live in at the moment, you must be living under a rock if you don't know that the impact of the coronavirus is the only thing that you hear about these days. It is impossible to stay away from. You turn on a radio, you turn on TV, on my search engine, Google decided to add some little information bar about what to do if I find out I have the coronavirus. It's just like you can't get away from it. And I guess sooner or later, and maybe ignorantly as fans, we just assumed that it would naturally miss us here in the UK. Well, not in the UK, but miss us in our own footballing world. And that obviously hasn't happened. Let the burp out, Chick. I should. I'm trying to be polite in front of you lot. Thank you, VP, for your donation. I appreciate that. So yeah, I think from it's really had a devastating effect across the world. I mean, for you gamers will know this. The big news that came out today was that E3, which is a gaming festival, has been cancelled. Or say cancelled. I think they postponed it. I think they pushed it back to July. It was supposed to be next. Don't quote me. Don't hold me to this if I'm wrong. I think it was next week. It was supposed to be, but they've now pushed it back to July, I believe. I think that was the last story I saw on it. And I know it was like a massive deal, and people are like thinking, blimey, is this really what it's come to? For you wrestling fans out there, the big kind of Super Bowl of wrestling is WrestleMania. And WrestleMania, I believe, is on the 8th of April. I think I'm right in that as well. And they are seriously having discussions about should they just cancel it, because there's no point in endangering people unnecessarily. From America's point of view, their situation is probably what the UK situation was like 3 weeks ago, in that they've started to get cases now. It's starting to ramp up. They're now starting to have people dying. We're on our 6th death. I think we've got 400 cases or so of people that have got the disease. And naturally, people are starting to panic because media love sensationalizing bad news, and they're doing what they're doing best. In terms of the impact on football, especially in terms of last night's game, we obviously saw that we were supposed to have a game against Man City today. A lot of us were a bit nervous about it, a bit agitated about it. And then it came through yesterday that, the game had been cancelled. Literally the last thing I saw before I went to bed. And this was due to the fact that 2 weeks ago, when we got knocked out to Olympiacos, several of the players and the staff came into contact with the Olympiacos owner, who also happens to own Nottingham Forest, interestingly enough. Came into contact with him, and he now has coronavirus. So they obviously thought, well, blimey, if he's got coronavirus and we've had several players that came into contact with him, then maybe we should quarantine our own players. The part I don't quite understand, because I read the statement, and maybe you guys can help me clarify this, is, from my understanding, I feel it's like they've said that they've started to quarantine the players who came into contact with this guy, and supposedly those players will be showing up at training on Friday, because Friday apparently is the next time that they train, or something like that, and that's when it should be over. But I'm like, but surely if you just discovered this yesterday, why would Friday be the time that they can come back out of quarantine? So yeah, that doesn't make a lot of sense in terms of the way I'm understanding it. But anyway, bottom line is some four Arsenal personnel who were sitting by the guy, and then several of the players that actually met the guy have now been placed on quarantine. Regardless of whether that quarantine is ending or whether it's beginning, they are currently on quarantine. Now, obviously, if you don't know, again, you must be living under a rock. What they say is if you've potentially come into contact with someone that has the coronavirus and you're not necessarily yet showing symptoms, that you should put yourself, you should really have yourself tested. But in this particular case, what they've decided to do is bun the testing. Let's just get on with the quarantine. Because obviously, after you've been tested, you're supposed to put yourself in quarantine anyway. And they said that quarantine is supposed to last for 14 days, by which we hope, God willing, you haven't died. And essentially the whole thing is passed through your system and you can just get on with life again. For me, I feel like this thing has perhaps become a little bit more real for me over the last couple of days, because my own work situation has also changed. You know, in the way they're handling it, the fact that I'm now working from home. Don't worry, guys, I don't have the coronavirus. But essentially what they said to us is that half the building needs to be able to, they're trying to manage the numbers that come in and out of the building. So essentially they've split our team into half, where half of us go in 1 week, half of us go in the next week, and then go like that. Because we've had 2 cases down the road that have come up in the news recently, without trying to expose too much about where I work. So we've had 2 cases that have come up down the road from where we're at, and it's obviously made all businesses in that area very, very nervous. So subsequently, my situation has changed, and it's kind of made me think, right, all this for flu, yeah? That's kind of like my kind of attitude on it. Because up until last week, I was just like, okay, so it's an extreme flu. Is that basically what you're saying? Because if the influenza kills people as well. And I think people do forget that. People do forget that influenza takes a lot of lives. Big up to Sergio Hernandez, my guy. I'm wondering, are you still in London, my guy? It's scaremongering. The only people who have died in America are elderly folk. I'm getting tested tomorrow because work thinks I got it in London. Oh, they're trying to put it on us now, are they? They're trying to say we're the new Italy, are they? But thank you, brother. I appreciate that donation. Very generous. Thank you. And I do think there is an element of that. But I also think it would be ignorant to say it's only old people and babies or whatever that get it. It's vulnerable people. It's people that have underlying illnesses that they don't know about. It's people that have suffered with asthma, that have heart problems, that, you know, it does affect a lot of people. Just like, by the way, to be fair, the flu. The flu affects a lot of people. It does kill a lot of people. I do think we should take it a little more seriously than I perhaps was last week, to be honest. And I put this on me because I didn't take it that seriously initially. And that's only because of the fact that I've had an opportunity to read more about it, find out where it started. China, guys, stop, please. The game meat, allow it, man. allow it. But yeah, I feel like I've had an opportunity now to kind of have a better understanding of what happened and where it came from. And I think Um, first of all, I hope everybody here is washing their hands, like genuinely. I ain't trying to turn this into a PDA or nothing, but I hope some of you dirty motherfuckers are washing your hands. And second of all, to be honest, it has made me more aware of my hygiene. It has made me. I've cleaned this house. I've been working from home. Don't get me wrong, but I've cleaned this house from top to bottom for the last couple of days. Paranoid. I've ordered like 3 or 4 bottles of Dettol spray because on the Dettol spray, I guess only UK guys. Do you get Dettol in America or around the world? Anyway, Dettol spray, it actually mentions the coronavirus and killing it. So I thought, well, let me cop that. So I managed to grab me a couple of bottles of that. So I managed to literally spray this house from top to bottom with it. It does make you paranoid, but I also don't think we should be ignorant about it. So I think it's about being aware without being paranoid. Eventually, I think the world has to continue, but we are going to have to put up with disruptions. And obviously, one of the big questions at the moment is whether the Premier League season will come to an end early. Obviously, we are screwed if that happens, because we are ninth. We're not even in a Europa League place. How much more a Champions League place? Liverpool won't even be technically crowned champions if the season ends right now. So you would think that I think the Premier League will do everything that they can to try and force through the end of this season. We just might be playing a hell of a lot of games in a very short space of time. So that's what I think will happen. I do think that we will end up playing that City game. Also, it's important to bear in mind, flu season, this is when it's going to happen. Winters are getting longer, especially if you live in the Northern Hemisphere. If you're an Aussie right now, you don't know what the hell we're talking about, because I know it's you guys' summer. But I know you guys have also had a couple of cases pop up, believe it or not. Because in the hotter countries, the cases are few and far between, but they are still, people still travel. So they're bringing those cases into the country. So I think from our perspective, it seems like more of a bigger deal because we live in a part where we are riding a winter. We're entering spring. Spring is also flu season because you also got the added complication of pollen and stuff that makes you sneeze. So I think we won't really start to see everybody calm down from this until maybe June. And then even then, they're saying that, don't get me wrong, even in the summer, this flu will still be about. And I think it's just about being a little bit kind of just everybody using their nous a little bit, everybody just being calm, especially if you have any elderly siblings. Like my ST9 says, the elderly, my mom's getting older, dad's getting older, So you do worry about those kind of things, like, because this thing causes pneumonia. And I don't care who you are, pneumonia ain't no joke. So, and especially for the elderly, it's a hard thing to battle. Pneumonia. Pneumonia is usually what kills people with this disease. So I feel like it is something that we should take seriously. I get it. It's inconvenient. I wanted to watch the match today. I'm sure there were loads of gamers that wanted to go to this E3 thing. I'm sure there's loads of wrestling fans that are genuinely worried that WrestleMania, for the first time in how long, might be cancelled. I was listening to Eddie Hearn yesterday, who's a boxing promoter, who's legitimately worried. He's got an event in May and an event in June, one of which stars AJ, which is his biggest draw. Of course, he's worried that those events will severely be affected by attendance because people are just genuinely scared to travel. Like, I don't know if anybody has actually traveled to work into their office. I went in on Monday. It was the easiest Monday journey I've ever had. People are genuinely scared to travel. So this does have a real impact throughout, just globally, throughout the UK. It really does have a hard impact. In my view, in terms of football, Don't be surprised if Arsenal don't play on Saturday, because it seems weird that they would cancel today, but they won't cancel Saturday or whenever it is we're supposed to be playing. But I also would urge everybody to just relax, calm down. I don't think the world's going to fall apart. Do I think that it is a serious illness? Yeah, I think it's a little more serious than I initially gave it credit for. It is killing people at the end of the day. Anything that kills people, you have to take it with a certain amount of seriousness. And let's be real, whether you take it seriously or not, ain't no one trying to be this ill. so I think from that perspective, let's everybody just stay vigilant, stay calm. Yes, it's crap. Yes, it's crappy that the people who booked to go to Manchester the day early. Manchester is not a cheap trip. So if you'd booked the day early, you'd be thinking to yourself, flip me, man. They couldn't have given me more notice. Quite frankly, I've just given you an example of my workplace. That's just the way society is working at the moment. You got to admit, this is something they've never dealt with before. This flu is not something they've dealt with. They've not seen the impact that it's having on the world. You're going to get a lot of last minute decisions, a lot of people acting on the fly. And I think it's just about us as people showing a bit of patience for that, and us using our nous a little bit, So I think anyway, this is just my kind of long-winded way of saying, essentially, stay safe out there, genuinely. I know half of you piss me off most of the time, but I don't want to hear no stories about, I had a listener who fell poorly and now has the coronavirus. Genuinely, be careful. Wash your freaking hands. I am so paranoid. Every time I go out and come in, I wash my hands. I've had 2 showers today, and I've cleaned my house twice in the last 2 days. And believe me, I am no Monica from Friends. My friends will happily tell you I'm not that guy. But yeah, I just wanted peace of mind, I guess. I wanted to know that when I'm in here, that the corona ain't already in here is basically what I'm trying to say. So yeah, that's kind of my kind of two pennies worth on the whole situation. It's a shame, but I think the world goes on. The world has to go on. We'll beat this thing by the grace of God, and it is what it is. But anyway, let me see what you guys are saying. You obviously know that me and Lee geared up to do a watch along today. We're damn sure going to do a watch along today because this is just what we do. We are the originators of this thing. And I told you this yesterday. For me, I think it's interesting. And actually, I don't look at it as a bad thing that suddenly everybody does a watch along. But you know where it started. And I think it's important that if we're going to do this Liverpool game, and I trust VP will be happy with doing the Liverpool game, that we show you guys where it's at and who are the original motherfuckers to do this. So, yeah. Hope you guys stay with us, stay with me, help me grow my numbers, because I must confess, my numbers have just stalled a little bit. I'm at 7.6. I want my numbers to rise through the roof. I would love to get another. It's only 400. I can get 400 before the end of the season, right? You would have thought so, right? So I want another 400 before the end of the season. And then I want a 2,000 throughout the summer. That's a steeper target. Thank you very much once again, VP, for your donation. I appreciate that. So anyway, if you can hit that subscribe button, hit that like as well. I know it drives you mad when I bang on about it. The like, you see these donations? They're great. They're fantastic. Big up to Sergio and VP once again. They are some real ones. But it doesn't make you less real because you haven't. It just means that there's another way to donate, and that's through those likes. So drive those likes through the roof. Drive them through the roof for me. I appreciate it. I always do. Thank you. I don't say thank you enough. So let me say thank you now. Yeah, I guess I'll be back perhaps later tonight. No. I won't do one later tonight. I'll do one tomorrow. Because I've got a few stories I want to talk about, a few transfer stories, but I'll save it for tomorrow. Until then, you're going to see me on Lee's channel. I think the game is at 7:45. You know me. I'll probably be there bang on 7:45 on Lee's channel, Lee Gunner. And that's it. I'm out of here, people. Stay safe. Genuinely, stay safe. Or as my man Tyan Booth would say, be safe. All right, I'm out of here, people. Take care.